Today we have a special episode for you that we're dropping. We had the opportunity to interview the new heads men's basketball coach, Jason Mays, recently. And here's the interview. We have with us a special guest this week. We have the new head men's basketball coach of Montgomery County, Jason Mays. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for
a few minutes late, but I'm excited to be here with you guys. I've talked to some of my friends here, and you guys are all well respected in this community. So,
that's good to know.
Yeah, he must be talking to the wrong people.
Well, one guy was in prison for 6 years.
Okay.
Did he have the tat under the left eye? That's the one.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. So, Coach, we're really glad to have you on here. One of the things, I don't know what you know about us yet, but we started out as a wrestling podcast. Neil and myself, he's not here tonight. We started out with this vision of having this pro wrestling podcast. And we did that for pretty close to a year.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah. And we weren't getting the follows. So one day we just thought, well, why don't we just do a From Corner to Corner sports desk edition? Well, switching that category shot our listens way up. And we're like, maybe we're onto something here. And Wes and Adam both were like, man, don't quit the podcast. We really enjoy it. So they were super encouraging behind it. And so then we kind of started like, they'd do a spot visit. And then the next thing you know, they were on here full time. And we changed our logo. At the core, we always did like Mount Rushmores and stuff. So our logo is us on the Mount Rushmore.
And you can go ahead and tell them, that beard has never looked better than it does in granite. It's trimmed down right now, Coach. You can't tell, but when it grows out.
I was going to say that beard is awesome.
This one could use some work.
I mean, did you cut it back from when that was?
Oh, yeah.
That's a really neat logo.
Yeah.
And Sean, I can definitely tell which one is you.
Definitely, right? So we found a guy on Twitter, and he does a lot of logo stuff for the WWE. And so I sent him a message telling him what our inspiration was, and I basically just said, "Hey, this, what can you do?" And that's what he came up with.
That's really neat.
Yeah. So that was fantastic.
Are you guys on Twitter?
We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube.
What's your Twitter?
It is
From Corner to Corner Pod.
No, it's
PC.
It's
PC.
Corner2Corner PC.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're already following you. Okay. So then we did the sports thing, and then back in the fall, Adam comes up with the idea of us trying to get more local. Like, in order to grow the podcast, let's try to get more local. So we started doing the weekly From Corner to Corner Athlete of the Week award. So we've hooked up with the bowling coaches, the basketball coaches, because that's pretty much what it's been so far since we started doing that. And we kind of look all throughout the performances. And then every Wednesday, we drop the From Corner to Corner Athlete of the Week award. We're trying to get that sponsored because what we would like to do ultimately is build a scholarship program for that, to where at the end of the year we can give a $500 scholarship to girls and boys, athletes, to help with their college tuition. That's our ultimate goal, and then start there and work our way up. So that's why we're like, okay, well, let's work on so now we're like really focused on trying to build the local stuff. Then we can branch out to the district and ultimately to the region, and I don't know. Who knows where it goes, right?
I tell you what, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I haven't listened to you guys yet, but that'll change. I try to get my fat butt moving every day, usually walk 4 to 5 miles, and that's what I do. And now also, other than when I'm walking, I'm driving a lot because we still live in Ashland. Mm-hmm. I'm still teaching in Ashland for a few more weeks. And so I'm making this hour and 20-minute commute one way.
Yeah.
Lunch right now. I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I think podcasts are a great way to get information out, to educate, to entertain, to inform.
Yeah.
I absolutely love listening to podcasts. And
Yeah.
one of the ironic things, my wife, she's hooked on these murder mystery podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
I've listened to them.
She's doing the Murdahl one right now. There's one on the Murdahl murders.
Yep.
That one's insane.
She listened to the one, the Piketon, Ohio murders. I don't know if you've listened to that one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? But there's podcasts. I listen to a lot of U.S. history ones, a lot of leadership ones, obviously a lot of coaching, not just basketball, but I learn a lot from football. And but the fact that you started with the wrestling, that's pretty neat. But,
Yeah.
I think you're onto something good. You're giving back. So kudos to you guys.
And that's what we want to do. And so the day that the news broke that we were going to be making a coaching change in Montgomery County, I don't remember which one of you.
You
was
better
the first.
give me credit.
Was it
I
you?
said if we want to win, Jason Mays
Yeah,
is the guy.
he's immediately like, Jason Mays is the hire. There is nobody else.
Because
and I'm like, okay,
I'm from West Virginia, so you being in Ashland, it's about an hour from Ashland, Crum, West Virginia.
Yeah.
I graduated from Tulsa. So I've obviously watched you and on My Town TV and all that, the 33-0 team that got ruined by COVID. Like, that season, I was hooked more on you all's games than I was theirs, I think, like seeing when they were live. So I knew what you were about. I knew that you were a winner. And that's kind of what we were and kind of what we want to get back to.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, hey, if he's out there, if he wants this job, this is the guy.
right,
Yeah.
and he's not lying. I
Thank
mean,
you for
like that's all we talked about for hours. And I'm like, of course, I run a roofing company, so. I work a lot with that kind of stuff.
Sean, is there anything that you don't do?
Right.
No, well, I bowl on Monday nights normally. So now we're very active in the church, so there's a lot with that. But I don't get the opportunity because my daughter bowled, so that was my sports season, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always with her bowling, but like these guys, they know everybody, they know all these coaches. They immediately was like, look, if we're going to win, we got to get Jason. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then the day that the news broke that you were getting the job, they were ecstatic. And I mean, seeing just in your week of time prep that you've put into Facebook and Twitter and the community and trying to bring back some of the old guys from the past and stuff, the excitement that I'm seeing from this automatically is a whole different level than anything we've ever seen that I've seen in Montgomery County. I'm not from Montgomery County, married into Montgomery County. So, like, I remember Happy's team when we went to the state tournament. Mm-hmm. That was the one year me and Chase went to most of the ball games. But we just really haven't on that. So I really don't know a lot about it. But I was looking at your resume from Ashland, and it's very impressive. I mean, for sure. And it gives me, one of our things is we always talk about the goosies. It gives me the goosies to know that you're here. And so I thought about this today a lot, and I'm like, look, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on you, but, we just saw what Fairleigh Dickinson did.
What about that?
Coach taking over a 4-win team, and then he takes them to the tournament next year. So all I need to know is, do you think we can beat Warren Central in the championship game next year?
I don't know if Fairleigh Dickinson could beat Warren Central.
That team had some dogs.
No, I tell you what.
They're young, too.
I know Tobin. Tobin was at St. Thomas Aquinas, the Division II, and the year I was at Kentucky Wesleyan as the associate coach, we played it was the opening weekend of Division II season that year. We played in the Ford Center in Evansville, and they were in it. We were in it. Southern Indiana was in it, and so was Montevallo out of Alabama, right outside Birmingham. And I got to watch his team play twice, and, man, they were a well-oiled machine. That was in 2017, November of 17. So we stayed in touch since then a little bit. And I'm also really good friends with the staff at Merrimack College, and a lot of people have never heard of Merrimack. I think it's Merrimack College. I don't think it's Merrimack University. It's in North Andover, Massachusetts, which is right on the Massachusetts-New Hampshire state line.
Right.
And I've got to point to this. And Merrimack is a new Division I team this is they just finished their second year
Yeah.
in Division I, coming from Division II, and they're in the NEC conference. They actually beat FDU
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
in the tournament championship game.
And because of some stupid rule.
Same thing happened to Bellarmine last year in the
Yeah.
A-Sun.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
They went back to back, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They went back to back champions. Bellarmine did, and didn't make it either
Yeah.
year.
We talked about that on the show last week. What a stupid rule. Like, look, if you're good enough to come from Division II and win your conference,
Right.
then you should be able to go to the tournament.
Especially now.
I'm sure there's two sides to it. I don't, I've coached at the Division II level at Valdosta State and at Wesleyan, and I don't really know the NCAA. I know it costs a lot of money. If you're at a Division II school and you want to go to Division I, first thing is you got to write a big check. I think it's upward of $1 million just right off the bat, and then there's a moratorium period where you have to, you're not eligible for postseason play for this, and every year that comes, you get a little bit bigger piece of the carrot, and I think it's either year 3 or 4 you're fully eligible. But it's tough recruiting during those years.
Yeah.
Because
they want to play in the tournament.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's but Merrimack, the Coach Gallo's the head coach there, and they're one of the better zone teams in the country. And I've never been a zone coach, and I was going to play zone this year at Ashland. And so I did a deep dive in Merrimack Zone, and I got to know their staff, and got to know their league, watched a lot of film, and got to know FDU's team through watching film and learning their zone. And so it's just been neat to sort of have just a little bit of an insider's perspective on that success that FDU's having. Tobin is one of the greatest. He's very humble. He's hardworking. He's high energy. I mean, you guys listen to him talk. He talks like this. He goes, man, he'd win Talladega, but just by talking. He's excitable. He's 4 thoughts ahead of his current sentence already. And so it's just neat to see the little guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chop
absolutely.
away. I mean, Purdue. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Right.
Which I will take credit for this. I have
You did not
said
pick that game.
all year long that Purdue was way overrated.
But you didn't think that FDU was going to be.
No. But I mean, I knew they wasn't coming out of that first weekend.
I mean, the only people that had that pick was the monkeys that do it,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. That's for sure. So
You mentioned you were at Division II Valdosta State.
Yeah.
So where else have you? Where did you start? And and then obviously you've ended up here in Montgomery County. But where did you start? And where's your career taking you so far?
I'll be 47 on April Fool's Day. So I started coaching. I was 21 when I got my first check to coach college basketball. So I started really young. If I had to do over again, this is a side note, but I would have went to a Division I school, been a GA, got my master's, because I'm in grad school right now. I'm the worst grad school student in the history of grad school students. But it's part, I became a high school teacher and a coach 5 years ago, and I wasn't certified to teach. But I would have done that route. But I wanted to get right into it. And so I was 21. I was coaching. I got my first job offer was at a great prep school that you've actually Tobin played at MCI.
Okay.
My first job offer was at Maine Central Institute. It's got a Kentucky tie. The head coach at the time was Max Good. In the 80s, Max Good was the head basketball coach at EKU. And probably one of the best defensive man-to-man coaches I've ever met in my life. He's a mentor, love him to death. He's crazy. But he actually, I forgot that Tobin played at MCI, so there's another analogy. But he left. I took the job, was going to be the intramural director, be assistant coach there. We had Karan Butler, who's now assistant coach for the Miami Heat. We had DeMar Johnson, who played for the Hawks, played at Cincinnati, played for Huggins, and went to the Hawks. We had Avery Queen, Dron Brown, who's coach at Woodford County. He was on that team. They ended up going to Pitt. Clinton Sims, who was from Paris. That's where he went to prep school and then went to Boston College and then transferred later on to EKU. But they had 12 Division I Sonnies on the team. I was there for a few weeks, and every game we played, there was NBA scouts at because of Karan and DeMar. But Max left to go to UNLV, so the job fell through, so I became a junior college coach at St. Catherine College in Kentucky. It's in Washington County. Springfield doesn't exist anymore.
That's where
Neil went to school.
Yeah.
Really? He was their
soccer guy.
Yeah, he was their goalkeeper for their soccer team.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool place. I mean, there's all kinds of stories. It's a Catholic school. It's a Franciscan sisterhood school. We had, I don't know, you guys might remember these names. We had Joe Sykes, who played at North Hardin, who's committed to Louisville. He was there. We had Derek Huff, who played at Fern Creek. He ended up playing at Wisconsin Milwaukee for Bruce Pearl. But I remember it was just a great experience. I mean, we had there was this little Chevron station down in Springfield called Critters. And it was exactly what it sounds like. Critters was like they had a poker game on Friday nights in the back room, and that's where we had to go. If somebody sprung their ankle, we had to go down to Critters and buy a 99-cent bag of ice. We didn't have an ice machine. During Christmas break, I'm down in the kitchen making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and turkey and ham and cheese sandwiches for our guys. I mean, it was just like there's middle school jobs that were more funded than that job. But, we were 27-10, and we're one shot away from going to the national tournament out in Hutchinson, Kansas. A kid named John Grice, I think that was his name, played at Southwest Tennessee. At the end, it was Shelby State. He had a 65-footer at the buzzer in the Region 7 championship game. But anyways, from there, went to Campbellsville for 2 months. That was right when Travis left Campbellsville to take the EKU job.
Okay.
Keith Atkins was his assistant. Keith Atkins is a Paintsville guy, played at Notre Dame, UNC Wilmington. Keith got the head job. And he didn't go with Travis. He stayed and got the head job at Campbellsville, hired me as the assistant. 2 months into that, Happy called and said, hey, come back to your alma mater, because I graduated from Georgetown. And I was coached there for 7 years. I worked my way up to be associate head coach in waiting. And, I love Happy. Happy's one of my best friends. Yeah. He's in my wedding, groomsman in my wedding. And
now you were at Georgetown when Billy Ray was there?
Yeah, well, I was a student with Billy Ray. I'm a year older than Billy Ray.
Okay.
So I wasn't very good as a player. I played in one college game, and Billy Ray was on the floor when I was in, actually. But I got into coaching by being a student assistant, by being a manager. My senior year in high school at Scott County, I broke my ankle. 4 days after I got out of that cast, I broke the same foot. I was 4 weeks in a cast. I was a total of 11 weeks in a cast, so I didn't get to play. And I wasn't going to go to college anyway. So I always wanted to coach since I was 8 years old. And so this was just the way I was humble enough already to say, hey, I don't care to wash jocks and socks, whatever it takes, So that's how I got into coaching. Nice. And so anyways, after 2007, we have 2 children. My wife and I have been married 19 years. Her name is Lori Beth. Our son is 16. Heck of a baseball player. I'm really proud of him. I think he's a heck of a baseball player. He's a freshman, and our daughter's 12. She's a baller. She loves hoops. Did
you say she loves hoops?
Yeah, loves to ate up with it.
Good.
Ate up with it. So she's going to be special. Her goal is to play for Louisville. Costa Robinson, who's there, is like her mentor. They're good friends.
You going to get to coach her this year, Adam?
What grade?
She's going to be a 7th grader.
I coached 6th grade.
Yeah, she's a 6th grader now. So she played on all 3 teams last year at Ashland, and she plays for West Virginia Thunder. She's at practice right now, actually.
Yeah.
So
Thunder's a good organization.
Yeah. So, but Jace, when he was born, he died 3 times, and they brought him back to life 3 times.
Oh wow!
He was a NICU baby for 11 days, I think, 10, 11 days, and I panicked. I was like, okay, God, I hear you. No balance in my life. My wife is second to basketball. Now's the point I got to change. I had to get back to my homeostasis point. I had to, what does balance look like? And I panicked, and I got out of coaching. And that was a mistake. I should have taken some time. And but I got out, became a financial advisor for 7 years, downtown Lexington. And God did not create me to be wealthy.
I hear you.
So I made more money than I've ever made. But I was also I never quite could get a rhythm with the tax thing. When you're in business for yourself, you better understand taxes. But I was miserable. And I volunteered one year at LCA with Nate Valentine, and we had Kyle Rode, who's at Liberty. We had Matt Rose, who played at Lipscomb and Samford, and I wet my beak, so to speak, for coaching again. And 15, a friend of mine at Valdosta State, Mike Helfer, called and said, look, I'll give you a month to decide. Job's yours. And I said, Lori, don't slap me. What would you say about me going 10 hours away and coaching college basketball again? And her dad had just died, and she knew that her dad wanted me to go back into coaching. And my wife's from Powell County.
Okay.
So my mother-in-law lives 15 miles from here.
I got you.
She lives right behind Powell County High School.
Oh, okay.
And the Ray Rogers Insurance Agency is named after my father-in-law. Now my brother-in-law, Tim Rogers, runs it. So that's one of the reasons we came here. But Tim was a baseball coach at Powell County. But she said, absolutely, let's do it. And I had her blessing. There were rough times in our marriage during that time, but I commuted for 2 years, 10 hours back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, there were times where it was 3 weeks before I could get home. There were times I get home every 5 or 6 days. And, you know, that Cadillac CTS I had, I think I put 100,000 miles on it in 2 years. So I own shares of stock in I-75. But I can tell you the rest areas to go to not go to. I can tell you the gas stations to go to.
Right.
I can tell you who has the best coffee. I can tell you the best Dunkin' Donuts place to stop. But anyways, we set an all-time wins record there. We won 26 games our second year. We totally revamped recruiting, and it was an awesome place.
Yeah.
If you ever go south on 75, going to Florida, Valdosta is the last city, and mile marker 21, 18, 16, and 13 on 75 as you get to the Florida state line. It is a great town.
It is a great town.
I could retire there.
And they give a lot of speeding tickets.
Oh, yeah.
You sound like you've been pulled over.
That's Georgia
Maybe
State
just a
Trooper,
couple times.
That's Georgia State Trooper, though. But, I mean, it's just because you get south of Macon, man, it's like driving through Kansas. I mean, you can fall asleep, hands off the wheel, and still end up 50 miles down the road.
This is true.
The same lane. But, you know, it's a great town, great food town. I'm a big foodie guy. I love food. And great food town and just a great sport. It had 15,000 students there. It had 6,000 seat arena. And then, but you know, marriage isn't made to be lived 10 hours away from each other. So I took the job as associate coach at Kentucky Wesleyan with Happy, and that was the season that he quit due to medical reasons. 6 games in the season, so I become the interim head coach at the winningest program in Division II history. Didn't recruit any of the kids. Didn't get there till August. It was there's so many things I did wrong. So many things the players did wrong. So many things I reacted to the wrong way. It was just a huge learning experience now, hindsight. But I didn't get the job. I finished 1 game under 500, the only season in my coaching career that wasn't a winning season. And
that's pretty good, Mark.
Yeah, it's actually one of the few seasons. It's only one of 2 seasons that wasn't a 20-win season. So then I take the job at Ashland. I could have went to some Division I schools that were again 15 hours away, 12 hours away. Had buddies that were coaching at Florida, you know, South Alabama, Florida Gulf Coast, and went down there and had some talks and discussions. And my wife had a really good job in Georgetown at elementary school as a principal. She got to build the school, literally build the school. And I just wasn't at peace with it. And so Ashland called, hired her as a school administrator, hired me as a teacher and a coach. And we had a great 4-year run. Had a rough last year, obviously. You know, but God is great, and you know He's pruned me for greater things. I have faith in that, and I am so excited to be here. High school basketball is where I can have an impact.
Yeah,
it's not college; it's high school. I never thought I would enjoy the front end of developing players at the high school level because for years I was always on the back end of that where we're taking a high school kid as a recruit.
Right.
You know, giving him a scholarship and playing. The front end is so rewarding. And, you know, I think back to when I was coaching college, the players that were our best players that I loved, had great relationships with. I may have been their best friend, but there was not going to be anything that replaced their relationship with their high school coach.
Yeah.
Like Billy Ray Fonz would have given a kidney to Bart Reisman, still would.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
You know, Todd Cox from Harlan to Mike Jones. You know, Will Carlton. I mean, there's nothing he wouldn't do for Glenn Jury at Anderson County.
That's
you know,
that's where I went to school.
Yeah. So I mean,
where there was a will, there was a way.
Oh man, he was so good. But anyways, you know, really I just realized that high school is where God wants me to be. It's where the impact can be. It's sort of where, you know, I can do his work, you know, through coaching and mentoring young people through the game of basketball. So love this town, love this community. So much I don't know, so many people I don't know. I tell people all the time, when you move to a new town, it's a blessing and a curse. You don't know everybody. Well, that's a good thing too, you know. But, people have been so welcoming. I mean, the facilities at that place, at that high school, are top 5 in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, you guys need to be on your hands and knees thanking school board members for investing in student athletes in this community.
I always see, like, I see so many people that are writers. The last one I saw was Evan Denniston that wrote for the Ledger in Mason County. Now he's up in Northern Kentucky. And he said, I always like coming down to Montgomery County because it looks like a small college campus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything is just right there. And it's so you're right. We have been pretty blessed to have that type of facility be able to be dropped in our lap. And kept it, it's 10 years old, 15 years old.
15.
Yeah, 15 years old. And kept it in the condition that it's in. So
it's amazing.
But
The barn looks brand new.
the barn looks great. I mean, it really
room.
does. Yeah.
The football field, new turf. They're putting a new track in this June. Brand new track. I mean, guys, it is the creme de la creme of KHSA facilities.
Well,
I am telling you, right here in Mount Sterling.
Speaking of the barn,
Exactly. That's where I was going to go. Are we going to have a regular season game in the barn?
Okay.
Because we get the gateway.
Just between us.
Right.
I like it when podcast guys say, just between us.
us.
We won't tell anybody.
I'm
Microphones are
trying
off.
to get Mason County to play us in the barn.
Nice.
We need to play Mason County.
Right.
Every year. And so here's my pitch to Mason County is we'll play in they're starting the MCIT. Remember back in the 80s and 90s, used to have the Mason County Invitational Tournament, and it was comprised mainly of 10th region teams. They're wanting to get back to that. And it's postseason, so it's post Christmas. Sorry, and it fits our schedule. So I'm like, hey, I'll commit to that every year, as long as we play home and home every year. So this year you come here, we're going to play in the barn. And then next year we're playing the MCIT, and we'll come to the field house. And next year, let's just do it. Let's just book it. Next umpteen years, let's do it.
Right.
And there's no reason that game's not played.
Yeah.
And Coach Kirk is a really good coach, and I know him well, and hopefully he'll get back to me and we can work on that.
Well, and I'm sure
that's the pitch.
I'm sure it's not much different than in college when you're making that same pitch. It's what's in it for me, right? And Mason County's typically been a better ball club than us, and they're like, I don't really need you on my schedule. I need competition. Well, you being here, we feel like that we're going to be competition.
Yeah.
Right?
Hope so.
There's only one way to get better. I mean, I've coached, and that's to play the best.
Iron sharpens iron.
That's right. So I totally understand where you're coming from that, and being that it's in two iconic gyms,
Right.
really,
No,
for that matter. The field house is
Barn.
unbelievable.
Were you guys at the game when Billy Ray had 47 against Mason County in regional finals in 1995?
Yes.
Was that
Me and Billy Ray graduated together.
Was that not one of the best high school games you've ever seen?
Ever?
It was unbelievable.
And the atmosphere
Overtime,
was that
overtime,
much
overtime.
better.
It was unbelievable. It was a blue blazing degrees.
The only time I saw Billy Ray play was at the convention center in Frankfurt at the All-A Classic that year. I did see that, but I didn't. I wasn't from Montgomery County at that point, so I didn't see that. But I remember watching him play.
We have good players in that locker room right now.
Yeah.
We had. I was a little bit late today. Sorry about that, but I had a parent meeting which followed our workout. Today we had our third workout, doing a lot of skill training on the floor. Just 55-minute to an hour workouts, high intensity, just getting a lot of shots up and moves off the dribble kind of stuff. But they're working their tails off. We had 16 kids at that workout today. That's a high number for this time of the year when it's not mandatory.
Right.
And we got to get the participation numbers back up in this program. We got 1,250 kids in the school. There's no reason we don't have a freshman team.
Right.
So we just, I'm getting a lot of the middle schoolers over and just getting them engaged. But I'm telling you right now, there are 3 kids in that locker room, and there might be more. I've only seen them 3 times, but I'm not going to say names right now. But there are 3 kids in the locker room right now that'll play at the next level. They will, at various levels.
Completely agree.
But there's talent is there. It's just facilities are there, talent's there. And there's 3 reasons we took. When I say we, my wife and I, we decided to make this jump. One, I'll work in reverse, in order of priority. So the third most important reason was we were going to be closer to our families.
Right.
Her mom is, Lord, if her mom listens to this, she's going to shoot me. Her mom's 78, and Lori,
beautiful year.
Lovely lady.
Hey, let me tell you
lady.
something. She's an awesome woman, and she. I'm one of those rare marriages where I love my mom and dad, but I also love my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And
That is rare.
Loved my father-in-law, before he passed. But, she's closer to her mom, and now she can help be more active in taking care of her, taking her doctor's appointments and helping her at home because she lives at home alone.
Recording stopped.
Keep going on your phone.
Okay. But
we reached our limit on YouTube or on Zoom.
that's right. So my mom and dad live in Georgetown. So, we're 40 minutes from them, 35 minutes from them. The second most important reason we took it was the community. There's no other high school here.
Yeah.
Right.
The middle school has 1,100 students in it.
Right.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Right.
And that facility over there is nice. And it's all on one campus. This place is just screaming for winning.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying basketball.
It's starving.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
winning.
just baseball, football, softball, girls basketball. I don't know, guys. It's probably the most successful program, been girls basketball program, probably last decade or
and
so.
softball, maybe.
Yeah, that and softball,
Yeah.
their soccer team.
Soccer team, the boys' soccer team.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then
I
Coach
think
Hall,
the baseball team a couple of years
Coach
ago
Hall
had a
does
run.
Met him the other day.
the middle school and then assists with Coach Miles.
Yeah. So I'm still learning. I didn't mean to offend anybody, leave anybody out, but
No.
But I mean, you're going to have that arena. You're going to have the bar, and I mean, come on. The people would love to go get some fried chicken and then go to the ball game on Friday night here.
Right.
Don't tell me they wouldn't.
Speaking
Don't
of
tell
fried
me they
chicken,
wouldn't.
I mean, you said you're not here, so let me give you a tip. Lee's Chicken.
I've heard about it.
If you want it,
I've heard
you
it.
got to go at odd times.
You got to
Because-
get
Odd times.
Yeah, because
Why?
if you go,
It'll take
at
you an hour to get through
If
the
you
line.
go through lunch and dinner time, it's going to take you 45 minutes easy in the drive-through. So you got to go.
the
Like,
only place anybody
The inside is open now, but it was closed for a long time during COVID, and that was the place. That was the creme de la creme in Mount Sterling. So
Hey, Lee's, we're giving you a lot of pub right here. I'm looking for a sponsor for the Joe B. Hall Classic and the Gateway Invitation.
Exactly.
I know the owner. The funny thing about it is they brought in a what was that other?
Bojangles.
They brought in a Bojangles.
It did not
and ran
last
them out in
long.
6 months.
Yeah,
Bojangles.
Yeah.
So you
See,
all
everybody
have,
loves a winner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
exactly
you all
right.
have Chick-fil-A in Ashland, right?
We have a very busy Chick-fil-A.
So Lee's is their Chick-fil-A
yep,
here in Mount
yep,
Sterling.
100%.
Like, it's always
And they have
busy.
not completely figured out the whole line issue because Chick-fil-A has it perfected.
Oh, man, I'm telling you what. Chick-fil-A is, what do they call it? Six Sigma, the Japanese efficiency production. They've got that stuff figured out.
Right. But I mean, Lee's did take the money they made during COVID because it was a lot, and they moved the
Drive-through
back
Yes.
about 20 feet just so they could get more cars in to go.
Yeah,
It's incredible. But
So I'm curious. So you're taking over a new program. You kind of touched on it a little bit. What is step one? Right? Like, what's the first thing? I'm walking in as a new coach. I'm sitting down at the desk, and the first thing I've got to do is what?
Man, this guy was posting on Twitter before the ink was dry on the contract. The way you brought it, wanted to get the community involved right off the bat.
I think social media is important.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
That's not the answer to your question.
No.
but that's sort of a, and that takes a lot of work, by the way.
Yeah.
There's four of us, and it's hard for us to keep up with it.
It's something that you have to block time. I have to block time. So I have to program what I'm going to do. Canva.com is my best friend. I've gotten pretty good at designing some digital stuff on that. And, so I think ahead and sort of program what I want to post. And it's a great way to control a message that you want the community to know
Right.
about.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, the answer to your question is not to overthink things. I think a lot of coaches make this mistake, and I would have made it as well when I was younger. is not come in with a loaded gun ready to fire all your bullets on, we're going to do this. I think you just sort of have to be. And you just have to enjoy the status of just showing up, working the kids out hard with a purpose, but getting to know them, sitting and talking to them in the locker room. Had a parent meeting tonight, having what we call courageous conversations with the parents. Very transparent. As a coach in high school, you have to be nowadays.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks their child is Michael Jordan sometimes.
Yeah, well, here's something that's I was just telling him this. Parents are never going to love their son. I'm sorry, that's a terrible way to start out. Parents are never going to love their son's team, as much as they love their son.
Right.
And as a coach, I'm never going to love their son as much as I love the team. So there is a gulf that exists between coaches and parents that can never be bridged, because it would require a compromise on one party that shouldn't have to happen.
Right.
You don't ever want a parent to love somebody else's kids more than their own. You don't want, as a coach, you don't want to love a certain kid more than your team. So, and we had that conversation with our parents. It's never going to be completely bridged, that gulf. But the goal is to get as close to one another as we can.
Yeah.
And that has to be good enough. And so parents are a huge part of a high school program. 25 years ago, coaches would have said they are not going to be any part of the program. It was just a different time. Now you have to have parents. One of the reasons we were so good in Ashland is because our parent infrastructure, and I use a technical term, parent infrastructure, whether it's parent meetings. We have open meetings 3 or 4 times a year, whether it's the volunteer activities that the parents would do. Well, I have open practices, workouts, practices. Like, no one believes me on this. Call my Ashland parents. They'll tell you, yeah, it's true. If you guys want to bring some popcorn and sit over in the corner and watch practice Monday through Friday, knock yourself out. All right? Same with parents. I want them to see what their son's doing.
Yeah.
A, I want them to see that he's not as good a player as you think he is. Or B, he's as good as I'm telling you he is.
Yeah.
I want them to see how hard it is. I want them to see how regimented it is. I want them to see the discipline, the commitment, the sacrifice that goes on into being a part of our program. And why would I not want them to see that?
And if you as a parent have an open mind, what you're watching, it's going to stand out who the best players are and who the ones that are struggling. It's going to stand out if you're open-minded about it.
Well, there's a phrase. I don't like the phrase "it is what it is," but it is applicable to the word talent. Yeah. Talent. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can develop some of it, but I tell parents all the time too. I said, listen, it's not right for you to expect your child to be better than you were.
Yeah.
Right.
Very logical.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to come off as anti-parent. I'm not. So far, I really enjoy the parents that we have, and we've got a lot of energetic, high energy, working parents that have sacrificed. And I think we're going to have a really strong parent group here at Montgomery County. I can already tell that, and that excites me because that usually means that the kids are going to be bought in as well.
Right.
So, but the first thing is just to let natural things happen.
Yeah.
Like the most important thing is for Brecken Decker and Luke Fawns and Dawson Gentry and there's a freshman, Cole Rose. I think he's a pretty good football player. Just to say, have some conversations with Coach Mays. I mean, it only lasts 30 seconds, but that's the most important thing that can happen right now. And then technically, in coaching, there's an art and there's a science. Okay, so the science is important too right now, and that is our organization. So our calendar's up and our communication system is up. They have a mobile app that the parents and the kids are all on. So everything's organized. They can plan ahead. Once I get my summer schedule finalized, they'll be able to plan all the way to the start of school in August, as far as when we're doing things, whether it's strength training or skill workouts or June games and team camps, whatever it is. They'll be able to, and I think parents appreciate that. So that's, the technical side of it. I got to get our schedule for next year finalized. I got to get our summer schedule finalized. I've got to start fundraising. I gotta raise quite a bit of money because I'm unapologetic about this, but I spend a lot of money, on high school kids.
Yeah.
Because they feel invested in.
Absolutely.
And a kid that feels invested in is going to play harder for you. It's going to mean more to him. It's going to mean more to his parents. Parents appreciate you investing in their kids. But a lot of times when you invest in a kid athletically at the high school level, it means you have to go out and you have to be creative with your fundraising. And so I got to start that. There's an art and science to that as well. But really the most important thing right now is just the art of coaching, and that is developing relationships with the kids. And you don't want to communicate as much as you connect.
Yeah.
There's communication and connection are two different things. When I communicate to you, Wes, I'm talking to you, I'm talking at you. But when I connect with you, Wes, I'm talking, with you.
Right.
There's something more than just words being exchanged between us. And so, that's the most important thing I can do right now is connect with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's fantastic. Again, I'm super excited about it for sure.
Well, thank you. I know my wife and I are. She can't wait. She hadn't been here yet. She hadn't met the kids, and she's like Miss Team Mom. Like she relishes in that role, and it's driving her crazy.
So does she bake cookies for the team and all that good stuff?
She's not she's gonna kill me. She's not a Holly housemaker. Not, and I probably just made some people mad by saying that. But that's not what she's so busy.
Right.
Like we're not the family. Our house is lived in. Like we're not the family that dusts every week. We're not the family. When we do laundry, it's because we don't have anything clean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We all
know all about that.
And she's going, oh, I cannot believe you're saying that. But it's just my schedule's her schedule, our kids' schedule's her schedule.
Yeah.
She is the most. I can't wait for people to meet her. I married the sweetest woman I've ever met. I married the sweetest woman I've ever met.
And she's a principal.
She's a nice principal, though. Kids love her. Kids love her.
That's rare.
And she's a hugger, and she, these middle schoolers sometimes, she was at Ashland Middle School for a while. They're in that awkward phase where hugging's not cool, and she just goes up and hugs them and embarrasses the heck out of them. We're looking for church home. Our church community is very important to us, wherever we've lived, whether it was in Georgetown or even me, on my own about Oster or Owensboro. But we found a good church family in Ashland. So we're going to be looking for a new church community. Our kids are active in youth, and
hopefully you give us a try here at LWC.
We are. We've heard a lot of good things
about
several churches here, but Living Waters is one of the ones we've heard about, and we like to think of what we do. Again, my wife and I, this is our ministry.
Yeah.
This is what God wants us to do is to impact people through coaching.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're relegated to, and that's what gets us up in the morning. And
giving back to kids in today's society is so important because, having that, you're a dad away from dad, right? Like you're a second dad to a lot of these guys, and I don't know these guys. I'm not saying this out of order, but you might be a dad to some of these guys, in the physical term or mental, spiritual term, whatever. And having the faith, we're all big Christians, and it's a big driving force of my day-to-day life. And
that's great.
That to me is like a top priority when you're coaching. And student athletes now are accustomed to that. Tim Tebow changed that philosophy.
Boy, didn't he?
Because before that, you never heard it. Now you hear it all the time. We talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago how some of the guys in the UFC, the first thing after they won their match, they were thanking their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and then Dana, what's his name?
Dana White.
Dana White is like, well, nobody wants to hear about Jesus, all this and that. Well, no, they do. That in today's society, people do want to hear about that. So that's a big deal, and teaching your players about Jesus is is huge, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And because you've been to a lot of different places, you had a crappy year, you're coming off of a bad year, and we all know how you get through that. Mm-hmm. Jesus gets you through that. And I've been in those situations the exact same way, and I look back over the years and I think about that time or this time, and I'm like, man, that would have been so different if I didn't have Jesus as my Lord and Savior,
Yeah. It's great that I can come in a place like this and talk about my faith because, I relish that and, think I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that. But we have to be careful and as a public educator, you have to respect our Constitution and our laws and, so you have to be smart how you talk about your faith, how you share your faith. You have to be smart. You do. I mean, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
But it's never stopped me from being in closed doors in the locker room, and whether it's in our leadership development sessions. I'm coming from a program at Ashland where we had team-led devotions, not coach-led, team-led.
Yeah.
Coaches weren't invited. Colin Porter's at Liberty right now because of his faith. It fit who he was. Cole Villers is one of the most fierce competitors I've ever met in my life, and it also is one of the strongest Christians for his age I've ever met in my life. Lives on faith.
Yeah.
And Ethan Sellers is at Cedarville on scholarship playing basketball right now and may go into ministry. You know, and so don't tell me about high school basketball can't impact lives.
Right.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me high school basketball can't help change a community. Don't tell me high school basketball can't help family infrastructures.
Right.
Don't tell me high school basketball can't take away sorrow and sadness and replace it with joy.
Yep.
I've seen it.
Right.
I've seen it, and somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Why not me?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
And I just hope that Montgomery County is ready for those messages, and because we're gonna get pumped, we're gonna get punched in the nose this year. We're starting over. We're hitting the reset button, and that has nothing to do with my predecessor whatsoever. I know him, and he's a very good man, Christian in his own right, good family man. But his coaching business is rough. I tell people all the time, coaches aren't protected. You are not. We're not protected. It's a cover your rear end kind of world.
Right.
And if you put an administrator in a situation, they're going to cover their rear end, as they should now, because they're not going to cover yours. So you have to be careful about what you say. You have to choose your words wisely. You have to think about your thoughts. These kids, they go home and they talk to their parents about things.
Right.
And they're going to take things out of context.
Yep.
And so you have to, be smart in how you communicate.
True. Because what you tell them is never going to get repeated the way that it was told. That's just the way it is.
I mean, so little of basketball is about X's and O's and making an after timeout play, draw up. What we're talking about, this has nothing to do about X's and O's. It's all about life skills and leadership development, and that's what coaching is.
And grooming young men to become grown men.
Yeah,
I get that for sure. So I don't know what your time limit is.
I was supposed to have a meeting at 8:00. I just texted him, and so I'm late for that meeting. So we're okay.
We'll wrap it up here. Then.
But I was late to you guys. So.
No, you're fine. I mean, we're definitely. I mean, I think
we can do it again,
as we've said before, and that was a question that we were going to ask. I mean, by all means, we would love to have you back on. After the first part of the season or after the schedule comes out, we can kind of go through it or whatnot. But we'd love to continue to have you on. We are going to try to have a lot more other coaches on,
right.
And we just are appreciative that you were the first one. And I think I speak for everybody that, like we said, Montgomery County is, I think, very excited. The social media.
Social
Media.
Words are hard.
Sammy Sosa.
Right. is incredible because nobody's seen that yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been through a few coaches since Bart, and Bart was a legend, but that just wasn't in place then.
Guys, we hope you enjoyed the interview that we had with Coach Jason Mays, the new Montgomery County men's basketball coach. Man, that was a lot of fun.
I mean,
I got the goosies.
I mean, yeah. You just, it's like, okay,
Elizabeth,
well,
there's going to be more nights I'm going to be gone in the winter.
Can I pass for a 17, 18-year-old? I'm just going to go play for him right now.
I want to coach with him.
I mean, I
That would be even better.
I want the boys to be a little bit older so they can play for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. It's time for old Dad to pass the torch.
Yeah.
They can go play for Coach Mays.
Man, that's really exciting. Really exciting. I think he enjoyed being on the show. He kind of felt like a natural fit, didn't he?
Yeah, right.
Very comfortable with us. I thought that was fantastic. Answered every question that we asked. Obviously, there was other questions I wanted to ask, but we're not there yet. It didn't really fit. I would really like to know that if he ever thinks if NIL will ever affect high school basketball, right?
Yeah.
But it just never really got to that path. But he's all about being on the show again, and I love that. So I'd like to.
And he said he would bring some players.
He did, yeah.
Look for the corner-to-corner player section.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're going to become a local celebrity.
Bring some players
else, right?
on the podcast.
That's what he said.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. Have some of the team on the podcast. And then, some potential big news that we cannot share right now, but maybe it happened. It'd be fantastic, right?
It would be pretty incredible.
Yeah, it'd be huge for the podcast, that's for sure. And we're all about it. We're Team Mays at this point.
Yeah.
So
the Moco Four Horsemen would like to thank you for listening to From Corner to Corner. Be sure to go out and follow us on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube. Whatever podcast platform that you listen to us on, be sure to go out and give us a 5-star review. Thanks as always, and we look forward to seeing you next week.